So the big bands that tour around the world bring their own PA system, their own tech, their own everything, their own amps, their own drum sets, their own microphones even, to sound fat and tight on stage and to deliver you the most massive sound they can possibly bring. So how can you, as a small band on your first few gigs, get the most out of your live show? How do you sound the best you can possibly sound on zero budget? All right, this is the second installment on the So You're a New Band series, and today we're talking about how to sound good live. And I'm not talking about how to dial in an amp sound or how to get your front of house engineer to stop smoking crack just before the show. We're talking about stuff that you can do with absolutely zero effort, almost no knowledge of anything, and get great results that will definitely benefit your live show. So, first things first, you got to rehearse. You got to rehearse your stuff. That's a given. If your stuff is really well rehearsed and you're tight as a band, the sound can even be a little bit muddy without it getting too flobby and all over the place. And it'll sound a lot better, even if your sound person is indeed high or drunk. That will massively improve your show. If you get monitors on your first show, or this is your second or third show and it's an actual venue, and if you have monitors there, only get the stuff that you actually need to hear in those monitors. If you're fine with playing just drums and guitar, then that's fine, because you'll hear the drummer and you'll likely hear your amp if you're playing through a real amp, or if you're playing through an amp sim, have them put the guitar in your monitor, because the singer will have themselves in their monitor, probably loud enough for you to sort of kind of hear where they are. If you absolutely need the vocal lines to sort of figure out whereabouts in the song you are, then you've probably not rehearsed enough. I get that you want to hear everything, but it's really about keeping stage volumes as low as possible and to keep the monitor ways as open as possible, so as to not overload those usually pretty shitty monitor speakers. That also includes keeping the stage volume of your amps as low as possible without sacrificing you hearing yourself. If your drummer's really loud, there's no reason to play with a 1-watt amp that you can barely hear in your living room, but you get the point. Just, there's no need for 1980s style 6 Marshall stacks next to each other in your 100 people venue. It's just overkill. And along the same sort of thing is get it right at the source. The better your stuff sounds, the better your band is going to sound outside of the stage. So if it's your drum set, then you're setting up your drums, tune the things. You wouldn't believe how many bands I've mixed over the years that come to me, well, I've just had this drum set tuned yesterday by this and that dude at such and such place. And why does it sound like shit now? Well, because you've transported it for about 5 hours in the meantime, and you left it in your car overnight. Doesn't help. So yeah, tune your drums, get your amps to sound decent, which means turn down the gain a bit. If you want, we can do an entire video on just how to get decent amp sound, and I'll demonstrate all of that on an amp sim, because it's just easier to show everybody what's going on. Or we can even get out an amplifier, like an actual amp, and do that. Leave it in the comments below if you want to see either of those or both. Right, let's say you're in a sort of 4-piece, 5-piece band and you have 2 guitar players, then adjust the volume of the 2 guitar amps that you have on stage to be about the same volume, so that, you don't have to have your guitar pushed up in the monitor because your other guitar player is obviously way louder than you and you can't hear yourself properly. It also sort of lets the mix engineer know that, hey, please don't bury my guitar completely in the mix, because I play interesting stuff too. Just because I'm a rhythm guitar player doesn't mean I don't need to be heard, And the keeping it, getting it right at the source sort of thing also goes for singers. If you play in a band and you have a dedicated front person, have them sing. Not every member of your band needs to have a microphone in their face. If your drummer can't sing, don't give him a microphone. If your bassist can't play properly when he's also singing, don't give him a microphone. If you have two people in the band that can actually properly sing, give those people microphones and everybody else gets none. It keeps the sound clean because everything on stage will be picked up by those microphones. And if your drummer doesn't sing into it, but the mic is open all of the time, it will pick up all of the drums, all a horrible bleed, and you'll sound muddy and crap. Granted, if you have a singing drummer and they absolutely need to sing because they're an amazing singer, then hell yeah, give them a microphone. It's all worth if that's the case. You know, if you have a proper singer behind your kit, all good. But just keep microphones in front of the people that can actually sing and get them away from people that can't. Yeah. I've mixed a ton of bands that have like 5 to 7 members and they all need a microphone, and it's specified in their tech writer even that they all need a microphone, and then you have a drummer whose mic is literally behind him for all of the show, and he's just sitting there going and never says a word or sings a tone. It's just unnecessary noise. Yeah, if you're a guitar player, or if you have a guitar player, and you likely have one, and they play solos, get them to use a booster pedal, like a clean boost, just something to push the levels up just a tad in order to save the mix engineer from having to write on the faders for songs that they don't know. Get it into your own hands, get a booster pedal, just stomp on that thing, elevate your tone, your volume a little bit, and you're good. I have been talking about guitars a lot and not a lot about bass players, but bass players, your bass amp 9 times out of 10 probably has too much low end in it. For small venues, like we're talking about 200 cap, bringing an extra 1x15 speaker, overkill. Just don't need it. Your bass will probably be either mic'd up or there will be a DI more likely taken from your head. Not your head, but your amp head, you know. Most importantly, the mix engineer, if there is one, will get your bass sounding right in the mix, and it will likely collide with the bass frequencies of the cabinet that you're using. So you might want to get something that has a little bit of a contour where it's not like super boomy, low endy, but you know, get that shit sounding tight, man. You're already tuned lower than everybody else. Don't need to have all of that extra woofy bass information in there. Now, one quick note on stage performance, because that also sort of impacts how you're perceived as a live band, and that is stage banter. Get your singer to learn some stage banter. It's really a skill that can be practiced and should be practiced. And I don't care if they practice into a camera at home or you actually like write out what you're going to say more or less for the nights. Just practice this stuff. It's an art form in and of itself, and I myself am not really good at it. So whenever I have the chance, I play some ambient music in between tracks. But generally speaking, for me personally, if you're a rock metal band, I'm here to see you perform your songs and not hear you talk. So just, you know, get me to the next song as quickly as possible and then riff. Thanks. If you're a singer-songwriter and you play like pubs and stuff, most of this won't have applied to you anyways, but people expect you to talk about your songs if you're like a solo performer or if you're a pop artist or something. But if you're a pop artist, you wouldn't probably be watching my stuff. If you are and you're super introverted sort of music, you can either have almost no dialogue with the audience to sort of drive home the point that your music is super introverted and stuff, or you could have like stage banter that actually explains your song lyrics a little bit more and give some more to the audience than just the songs, and connect with the people on a deeper level and have them take something home with that. So that about wraps it up for this one. It's not all that much. We're tackling different mic types for everything and how microphones work and stuff. and stuff like that in this series. Also, we will have one on how to hold a mic. Hold the mic properly as it is intended to is its own point on this list, basically. And it's such a big point that I'm going to make an entire own video on, because it's obviously necessary. Right. If you enjoyed this, then maybe, tickle that subscribe button or leave me a comment saying, hey, I thoroughly enjoyed this and I would like to hear more of this or that. And if you're still here, then, leave it a like. If you didn't like it, leave it a thumbs down. And tell me what you want to see out of this series. If you're a new band, let me know. If you started in the pandemic, let me know what that's like. I have no idea how it was to start a band during the pandemic. If you got your start during lockdown, that would be super interesting for me to hear your stories. And see you next time for more So You're a New Band content. Thanks. Bye. Woo!